Good afternoon, everybody. It's the 12th of August, and it's after 12 in the day, too. What a coincidence, huh? I'm in a kind of an industrial type area, and a garage ghetto like I like. But look at this, some apples and some big ones. Interesting. But yeah, some things I want to talk about today. I probably should just get right into the news and start, instead of talking about crazy tangents that I like to talk about. So I wrote my tangents down, and I'm going to be talking about my tangents and things. So, but yesterday I was mentioning about, I think it was yesterday, was about this terrible thing that's going on in the world. And of course it's been getting worse and worse as time goes by, and a lot of people don't talk about it because it is so terrible. It is so terrible that is very depressing. A lot of people wouldn't put it on their videos because it's so depressing. You know, you don't want to watch a video and get depressed, but on the other side, you want to watch a video and get the truth, and you want to really know what's going on. And a lot of people are averse to actually be talking about this. Ania K did yesterday. Lovely Ania K from Poland, and I don't know if she's in Moscow now or not, but I'm glad she brought this up. I was going to bring it up, and I was thinking I might have time, but she beat me to it. But it's about this child trafficking, and there's so many horrible things that are happening to children. Anyway, it's more than just this trafficking, and then just the fact that they traffic them, and why are you doing this? Why? You know, and there are multiple reasons. You know, I was mentioning that movie yesterday, The Sound of Freedom, and the Hollywood elite, most of them are doing everything possible to make sure that movie doesn't get any recognition, and anybody that has anything to do with that movie, they're trying to do them in. And why would the recognition of what a terrible thing that's happening in the world, and you know, trying to solve such a terrible problem, why would elitist, and for the biggest part, the richest people, the very richest people, are against this, and the very richest people are trying to make sure the message doesn't get out. And Ania K, she was mentioning this, and she's very brave to be talking about this subject in the first place, but and then she mentioned something towards the end of that topic, when she was mentioning that topic in her video, and I've obviously come to that conclusion myself, and I really love her for noticing that and saying something about it. So I can maybe put the blame on her. I can say what she said and say, she said it, I didn't say it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just kidding. But I believe in this too. But let me get a little bit more into what's going on. She was talking about Alexander Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus. And I call him the Partizan president. And this basically proves that he's the Partizan president. He would talk about a subject like this, and other leaders would definitely not be talking about this because they're on the other side of this issue. They are part of the problem, is mostly what I want to say. And I was told, and some days ago, you know, and it's partly about the future job prospect for me, that I'm not supposed to be getting too much into politics, you know, on the platform that I'm going to be using. And the thing they don't want is they don't want propaganda, and they don't want anything that even looks like propaganda. But this is my channel right now, just like Ania K said, that was her channel. And you know, I have tremendous appreciation for Alexander Lukashenko. And so when I say the Partizan president, Nobody controls him. And you look at all these other leaders in the world. A great example is Olaf Scholz. Very, very sad example, very sad. You can have somebody sitting next to him one day and saying that they're going to end their vehicle, the vehicle of Germany's prosperity. They're going to stop it. In other words, cheap energy costs. They're going to stop that. And then he's, in the words of another German politician, sat there like a weak little schoolboy and said nothing. And like I always say, I think Olaf Scholz is compromised. So I've gone into that in other videos. Why else would some leader just stand by and even listen to threats to the country that he leads? You know, to destroy the country that he leads. And then lo and behold, you know, it happened. And then he just is silent about it. And then he has other people in his government that say they're more loyal to other countries than they are to the Germany itself. Germany is in a very sad state. It's a very sad thing. It's a very terrible thing. Because I still love Germany. I love the people. I love the culture. And that was my area of study, was German history when I was in the university. And really ticks me off to see what's happening to Germany. And I'm believing a lot of the German people are that too. And they're going to be feeling the brunt of this in the next coming years as the standard of living for Germans is going to be declining more and more. But anyhow, I'm going off on a tangent again like I like to do. So I should just write this stuff down and then read it to you. Otherwise I'm going to do myself a mischief of some sorts. So, but what I'm just trying to say is the leader of Belarus is a lot different than these other ones. He's not compromised, and they say he's authoritarian. He says he's authoritarian. Dictator? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a lot of things that he would like to have done and changed and things to happen in Belarus, and he doesn't do that. He's got a line that he does not cross. And in the West, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to do everything to make you think that this is everybody's sad and everybody's poor, and Lukashenko has palaces and big bank accounts and women, and I mean, I don't know. They don't really say that because they have no evidence, but actually that doesn't stop them. There's so many things they don't have evidence for, and then they still try to propagate that about the enemy of the month, whoever that might be. But anyway, Lukashenko was out and he was talking about what is going on to a lot of these children. And The Sound of Freedom is a movie. It's about sex trafficking, how they take these children, and sicko people exploit small children for these sort of things. And I'm not even talking about somebody like, what's his name, Epstein. You know, as far as I know, these girls that they tricked or got to some island where there's no way for them to get away again, a lot of them, I don't know, were they at least past their puberty or something like that. And in some countries, I think the age of consent begins at 13, you know, and I'm not trying to make excuses for Epstein, you know, because these poor women were put into something that they did not want, as far as I know. And I mean, in a very, like I said, I'm not going to excuse this, but it's bad and it's distasteful. But when you see what it's all about in that movie, The Sound of Freedom, it's sick. It is very sick. I don't know how people have such a sick mind. But what Lukashenko was talking about, it's even more sick. And I tell you what he did not talk about, it's more sick than that. If you really hear, and I'll just touch on that a little bit because I don't even want to talk about it. But in a sense, what these children, and unfortunately, most of this is done through the Ukraine. And the Ukraine, very sad, and I don't know how much the people of Ukraine know about what goes on there, but it is a hub for such terrible things, even the drug trade, the weapons trade, you all know that, and child trafficking, and what these children are used for. They have adults that are used for this too, what they do to Russian soldiers, even Ukrainian soldiers. And what I'm talking about is the organ trade, and to take small children to small children, and even Lukashenko said this, he had the guts to say this. They take these small children and they dismember them, and they take their inner parts and they're sold off. In other words, these children, they're dead. I mean, they're killed for their organs. The only one thing that they can't take, that, you know, or that they don't take, probably can't take, is their brain. And you see what Ania touched on, and she didn't go into depth. Maybe you get deleted from YouTube, I don't know. They don't like these subjects to be broached, and if I'm even allowed to talk about this on YouTube now, in the future it's going to be taboo, because these multi-billionaires, they're the recipients of what is going on. They're going to make sure that this topic is not talked about on YouTube. So, but a lot of these very rich people, and let me combine a little bit of what Ania said. She was mentioning, have you ever wondered why some of these very rich, mostly political people, celebrities, they live so long? And it's not because they have great genes, genetics, you know. We just saw Henry Kissinger, 100 years old. The Queen of England, she was over 100, I believe, too. How old is George Soros? What about Dianne Feinstein? She's now having apparently some brain issues. You can't transplant a brain. John McCain had a brain issue. So the only time these people actually, so to speak, expire the same time the rest of us do is when there's something in the brain. But how come their organs are never like that? There are even very rich people, the richest people on earth, by the way, the richest family. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say their name, but there's one of these members of this family who has had, as I have heard, 4 hearts. 4 hearts. And of course they want the best product possible. When you go out and you buy a car, you want to get the best car for the money that you have. And when you have billions or even trillions of dollars, you know, you want whatever the best is, right? You can afford it. And unfortunately, a lot of time that's where these children come in. And the worst part about this that I don't even really want to talk about is what happens to these children before this operation takes place. And that is something worse than what you ever hear about in horror movies. Because they want these organs to be in the best working state possible. They want the organs to be going at their capacity when they're extracted from these children. And if Google actually watches this video and then they decide on trying to ban my video and delete my channel for talking about this, I have to appeal to these people at Google that you are a lot of brilliant people in Google, and I know some of you, just like how the system works, are under pressure. And I've seen this because I've worked in different capacities myself. Maybe your life gets threatened, or maybe the life of your children gets threatened. You know, this whole thing about saying, "Hey, is your child? Are you sure you don't want to do what we're telling you to do? Oh, you know, you have a nice daughter. Is she still going to the school over there and likes to play in the sandbox in the backyard?" You know, and they might not even have to say, "Well, it'd be a shame if she doesn't get to play in." That's, you know, if something would ever happen to her. You know, things like that. So people are manipulated in a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of positive and negative reinforcement in how this works. You do what we tell you. Nothing will happen to your family. We'll be working with you forever, and besides that, we'll give you some great rewards. You will be wealthy. Things like that. And then I always wonder, you know, there was this band that I liked, and a lot of you know about. It's called U2. And I'm wondering why they used to be like a rebel type band. Everybody called them revolutionary, rebellious type people. And whatever made them go over to the other side and start being on the side of the establishment? In any case, though, that's mostly what I want to talk about. You have to ask yourself why these people live such a long time. Do they get better doctors, or is there a lot more to it than that? And as you all know, Scott Ritter's channel has been deleted. I think he was deleted for, what did he say? Hate speech. Yeah, hate speech. That's what it was. You know? And I guess that's maybe just like a blanket penalty for saying something that you don't want to get out. Cancellations and things like that. What's really going on in the world is you're finding out that the masters of the universe, and I'm not just talking about people in the government of the United States, but there are people that control the government of the United States. This money is what makes the, what does it in German say? Ohne Moos nichts los. Without money, nothing goes. So, grease the skids. You have these presidential campaigns. You think that Donald Trump is wealthy and all, but I'll tell you what, he's also beholden to his, you can't run, Donald Trump, he doesn't have a fraction of what is needed to run for president of the United States. I believe I've heard that Obama, his campaign was like, I believe, I'm not positive, because these numbers get so high that I can't keep track, because it's beyond my comprehension. I don't know, I believe it was a $1 trillion presidential campaign. Boy, oh boy, that's Donald Trump doesn't even have a tiny fraction of that. And you got to get this money from somewhere, and then these people that benefit from certain activities, they're the ones that are paying for it. Very sad, very sad. And I'm glad I'm here in Belarus, and they don't have, what do you want to call it, the private sector controlling the government. There's a name for that, created by Benito Mussolini, and he was saying, I'll give you the definition first: the marriage of corporate money to government power. And that's called fascism. Fascism has nothing to do, I've said this before, as with the color of your skin or your religion. We're made to think that, or maybe that's morphed into some sort of a new definition. Maybe that's what you would call maybe new fascism. Real fascism is how this power works, and it's a very frightening thing. So say no more about that one there. But I think maybe Scott Ritter might have been mentioning something about laboratories in Ukraine as well, and that's a really taboo subject. So yeah, but Lukashenko was talking about how they have to protect their children, and then Putin is the same way. And so what's happening now, the reason why Lukashenko was bringing this up is apparently they are now going to probably make him I don't know if it's called a war criminal, or put him in front of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, for something, because they're getting children from these places where they're taken from in Ukraine and getting sent somewhere to get their organs taken out of them. So they're protecting these children. And Lukashenko said they can say what they want, they can do what they want, but he's not going to stop protecting children. So that's why I'm living in this country, and that's why I have sympathy for this government. So in case you want to know. And let me add to that. I hear from people, there's one person that I like, and he left a comment on my site. And if he's watching this one, thank you very much. And he's a person that he doesn't really like to talk negatively about anything. He does some food videos sometimes too here in Belarus, and he never talks negative about food. He always likes everything and says everything is good. I don't do that. I don't insult somebody's food if I don't like it. I just say that's not my taste. But he doesn't do that. He's a very respectful person. But when he goes out back to where he's from, which is Ireland, I'm talking about the Irish Partizan. When he goes to Ireland, he tells you the truth about what's what it's like there. He doesn't say it in any kind of a hateful way, really, but he just tells you the facts. And you can compare that to Belarus, and he's not putting out any propaganda. He does not say anything about the government, really, in any of his videos and stuff. He just likes it here in Belarus, and he talks about Belarus. And anyway, you know, cheers to you, Irish Partizan. I don't know your real name, but he's a very good person, and you can check out his channel. It's called Irish Partizan. I don't know if he's making that many videos lately, but he's a very decent person. So that's all I want to say about that. But what I was trying to say is what he said when he was exposing a lot of this stuff, what's going on over in the West. Like, he was the one that told me in his videos, because he's from Dublin, or at least he has I believe he's from Dublin. But anyway, he's familiar with Dublin. And he says how terrible it is. And everybody, even there's a lot of people in Belarus that have some kind of a brainwashing. The thing, once they get to the West, everything's going to be much better. You know, you earn more money and stuff, but everything is far more expensive. You don't realize that. There are doctors, medical doctors, you know, with years of experience and full-time work, and they're living basically in trailers, little shacks of one room in certain places, because the cost of things are so high. And in Belarus, they try to keep the costs down. I've told you, and he's told you, the Irish Partizan and his, how much it costs, you know, for your apartment, for you to pay your utility bills and your food bills and things. So the government of Belarus, and this sounds like propaganda, Lukashenko tries to keep the prices down. And that's reality. In the West, they don't care about the prices. You see how there's inflation over here too, but inflation is out of control over there, and they're doing things that seem to make inflation even worse. He tries to keep inflation down in this country, prices down. You know, but a lot of people, they don't look at that. They say, well, I get more money over there, but they don't ever ask themselves, I gotta pay a lot more, how expensive things are. And I'll tell you what, I lived in Germany, and how brutal they are in Germany in most times. They come after you. For example, if you don't save your receipts, you pay for something. And for example, my wife went to a German class to learn German, like 6 months. And we were paying for this class, and we saved the receipts. She saved the receipts, thank God for that. And some months later, I don't know, maybe what was it, 4 months or 5 months after the class, they sent us something and said, you didn't pay for the classes, so come in and pay whatever this, 3,000 euros or whatever the case may be. So come in and pay this. And luckily we saved the receipt, and then we're showing these receipts to these people, and it's like and that's just one instance. They've done this to us many times. You know, so you better save your receipts if you're living in Germany, because you don't know when you're going to get some letter and say, you didn't pay for this, you know, so you come in and pay. And that's happened to us many times. They try to find these, especially right now. Germany is hurting for money, and they're really trying to get your money right now, because we're still getting stuff in the mail from Germany. When we had a house there that it was not livable. It was basically almost ready to get torn down, you know, but we wanted to renovate that, but we found out the cost of renovation, like you pay sometimes the electricians 100 euros an hour. That is their fee, 100 euros an hour. You know, you pay that for maybe a week for an electrician in Belarus. I don't know, but that's 1 hour. That's 1 hour in Germany, in a lot of cases, you know, or else high up there. And at that time, I think a plumber, it was like 45 euros, and it goes up every year. It goes up at least 5-10 euros per hour every year. So you can't afford to. I mean, the houses were cheap in East Germany, and lots of them are empty, and you just can't afford it unless you're a really rich person. That's just another incident. But anyhow, there was like a tax or something. We had to pay some kind of a property tax. The house was built on 61 square meters, very small. The neighbor that we had, his had at least 8 or 10 times more of the property. His land tax was only 3 times more than ours, even though he's got up to 10 times more property. I think it was at least 10 times more land than we did. And ours was like 400 euros per year. And when we got this house, I was saying, well, where do we pay this tax? And I even wrote to the office and I said, we need to pay tax on this. And I was even asking, why is it so high for just 61 square meters? And all, but they never, ever sent us a bill. And I kept saying, send us a bill. So then here it is, like years later, now they want 4 years of tax. I don't know, 1,200 euros or something. Even though we sold that and then somebody has owned that house for over a year, they want, you know, because it went over into the year, like in February, I think was the official time of sale, that we're supposed to pay for the entire year, you know, January, February, all the way to December, and that's how that was. And even though when we bought the house, it was also like February, and the people we bought it from, they have not paid the tax for that year, but yet we're supposed to pay their tax, and we're supposed to pay the buyer's. It's not really the buyer's tax, but anyway, but looks like to be the buyer's tax. And I don't know if it was like 4 years of tax, and then all the fees because we didn't pay, and they never sent us a bill. So if you didn't send us a bill and tell us how much we have to pay exactly, how are we supposed to pay that? Anyway, that's Germany, trying to get as much money out of everybody possible, and I don't know, that's just an example. So get out. A lot of people saying get out, but I don't think they do that here in Belarus. A lot of times, if you have some sort of complaint and it's viable, you know, the government actually looks at that. There are laws, sure, but if you have something, they do look at that. It's incredible. This is an incredible country, and you're getting a bad story, a wrong story in the West. Sure, things are not perfect here, but I hear some Belarusians complaining, and they should go over to the West and find out what it's like over there. And they're gonna get a big surprise. Some of them, they do go over there and they're happy. And a lot of them, they come back, or they want to come back, and a lot of them do. A lot of people from a lot of countries find out how it is over here in Belarus, and then they want to move here too. You know, it's like you have to know the system a little bit, how it works and things like that, and it's a very good place. So, and you have to prepare yourself, like save up, buy an apartment somewhere, and then your monthly expenses are very low here in Belarus. I was looking, not that I was going to buy, but I was looking at, you know, like owning an apartment in a medium kind of sized town in Germany called Plauen. It used to be kind of a big, important town, maybe in like 1920 or something like that. But anyway, you know, I can't remember the price of the apartment, but the monthly costs that you have to pay every month, and it doesn't even cover your electricity or your water bill, I believe. I don't think it covers the water bill either. I know it doesn't cover the electricity, but your monthly cost, it was like 250 euros a month, 250 euros. And then your electricity bill is going to be, at least at that time, it'd probably be 80, 90 euros. So you're paying a lot of money. And here in Belarus, all your bills, your water bill, your garbage bill, your electricity bill, your cable television bill or something, it all comes down to less than 80 euros a month. It's like, I think it's like 70 US dollars. So what a big difference. So I don't know about renting. Rent, I think sometimes is maybe, obviously depending on where you live, I think it's like, it might be a little bit higher than what you really want to pay, I think, in Belarus, I think. But it's still much cheaper than in the West, of course. You know, a good sized apartment, I think maybe you pay $250 a month. I've seen that before. I don't know. I don't know how big it was. I can't remember. I had no intention of renting, so I should look into that for you guys, but I'm not. But what else do I want to talk about? Yeah, well, anyway, Ania K, she was talking about, you know, these people like Nancy Pelosi, you know, Dianne Feinstein. She didn't mention those names. She didn't even mention, I don't know if she mentioned Nancy Pelosi. She didn't mention Feinstein. I mentioned Kissinger. You know, but why these people, I think she said the Queen, how can these people live so long, you know? And I guess you kind of know why. But another thing I was going to mention is in another video, I forgot to mention this, but I think I'm not sure what the country was. Maybe, I don't know if it was Sudan or something, but it was either the IMF, because I saw two stories. One was the IMF, they said, and the other one said the World Bank. But they told them they're not going to get any financing unless they adopt LGBT, probably U as well, meaning Ukraine, LGBTU, into their society. So you have to be, probably, the aim of it is to try to encourage your children to get sex changes and things like that. And yeah, well, what do I have to say about that? Unfortunately, they're even trying to do this to Africa. I don't know if Africa is really in the position to fight this off. But you need to come to the Partizan country called Belarus with the Partizan president. He's not going to fall for this crap. You're not going to dictate to him every aspect of how you're supposed to live. One reason why I love it here. So, you know, just to put that in there. I guess propaganda, huh? Okay. Okay, Poland has on the 11th of August, they made a contract to deploy an entire new division. This was yesterday. Yesterday they made a contract. They're going to put another division of troops and, you know, equipment on the border of Belarus. And a lot of time what I've been saying about this, and a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know why other vloggers, I don't even think Ania has really mentioned this, but of course people here know about that in Belarus, at least especially over there in those, in the two oblasts, you know, which is Brest and Grodno, that, you know, those people were like offered free Polish passports, all those people over there. And it was obvious, it's very well known, and of course a lot of leaders have talked about this. I don't know if it was Medvedev or Putin, anyway, somebody in the Kremlin has mentioned this, and of course Lukashenko is, that you know, Poland wants to seize those places. Poland, and probably in conjunction with Lithuania, they want to seize those two oblasts, which is the entire western side of Belarus, and a big section of Belarus, by the way. And I tell you what, in my theory, and I stand by this theory, is everybody's talking about, oh, they want to take Western Ukraine. I'll tell you what, more than that, they wanted, past tense, they wanted to take the western part of Belarus more than they wanted to take Ukraine. As you see, you know, Duda and the other Polish officials, you know, when they meet Zelensky, you know, full of hugs and kisses, oh boy, they're madly in love together. And even though there was talk about doing something administratively between these two countries, having an administrative, maybe double country, I don't know, triple country with Lithuania, I don't know what the talks are. Nobody really knows exactly what they talk about behind closed doors, but obviously Zelensky looked like he was in favor of this too, some sort of a joining of maybe just the western part of Ukraine with Poland. And some people were talking about Poland was going to help him in taking Crimea back from Russia, of course, because Crimea is supposed to go to the United States with my theory. That's going to be their reward for getting all the weapons and the money from the United States that they'll never be able to pay back. And Poland will get that other section of Ukraine, possibly. This is a theory, and I'm just throwing this out there. And of course, like I said, Poland actually wanted that part of Belarus, but now it's a lot more difficult because now there are tactical nuclear weapons here, and Lukashenko says, just relax, you know. And Russia has shown that they're fully committed to defending Belarus. So, and then with the Wagner, that's why you see they are so stinking angry. And then Lukashenko came up with that joke, Wagner is itching to make an excursion over to Warsaw. You know, which was a joke. As you all know, and I think Alexander Makuris actually was mentioning this, to a large extent, Wagner has been defanged. They don't have any heavy artillery and tanks and anything like that anymore because that was kind of, I guess, on loan from the Russian government. So mostly they have rifles. And I think in the entire western part, I'm thinking, I don't know if it was where the borders I think Wagner has maybe 4 bases, and I don't think any of them are on the far western side except for one, maybe, and I think that's like 100 soldiers. So are they going to be scared of 100 soldiers with some rifles when they have this huge buildup of weaponry and all this coming out of Poland, you know? And I don't think even Poland, I think they're just acting like they're a bunch of, I mean, I'm talking about the government. I think the government is just acting like they're a bunch of coward babies. They're not really cowardly babies and stupid. Like they're trying to make us think that they're really stupid, cowardly babies. But I don't think they are. Oh, Wagner, 100 guys are going to come and take over the country, you know? Oh my. But I don't think they are. I think they're just using that as some sort of a pretext to send more soldiers over there to the border. But I don't think they're going to invade, like I say, because they're going to be in for some big surprise if they do invade. Lukashenko, much different than a lot of these other politicians in most places, especially in the West, he holds his word. When he says he's going to do something, he moves heaven and earth to do exactly what he says he's going to do. You know, so I guess you could say he's not a politician. He's a he's something else, you know. He's the Partizan president is what he is. And you make a big attack on Belarus and you might just get these tactical nuclear weapons, you know, used on you. I'll tell you what, if they're doing a smaller attack, and I personally believe that they're just going to do some softening up, send a couple things. If this ever does happen, they're going to send a few things over here and there, and nothing that would provoke some kind of a use of anything really major like that. But I think Belarus will probably reply in kind. Because I'll tell you what, you talk about this Article 5 from the NATO, and I don't think that that really comes into effect, say, when a NATO country actually attacks another country and the other country responds to that. So, I don't know. I have not read Article 5, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, maybe Brian Berletic, Alexander McCurris, Scott Ritter, maybe they know a lot more about Article 5. So, they should weigh in on this. And what else do I have to say here? Yeah, but anyway, Poland actually has already started this moving this division over there. They're right now putting in housing and places to store a lot of these weapons. Здравствуйте. So that is mostly what I want to talk about. So I knew I had something else. I didn't write it down, so I was thinking that these other topics are going to be enough, and maybe they are. But at least this video has more oomph to it again, like some of the ones in my past. I wish I could tell you about this future opportunity that's going to be for me, and it's, like I said, it's not going to be so much about the news, but it's I'm not going to be able to mention the news so much like I am right now, but maybe I can get it morphed into that. We'll see what happens, and it will complement my channel. And Irish Partizan, if you're watching this, let's meet up sometime. Let's meet up. I really would like to talk to you. You're kind of a rock star to me. So, because I've watched your videos for some years now, while I was living in St. Vincent, and yeah, I'd just like to meet you and talk to you. I won't slobber all over you. I won't get on my knees or nothing like that. No, but I like a lot of these people that make these videos, and you know, Ania K. She's coming to Minsk, by the way, and she better, if she's watched this video, somebody send this video to Ania K. I really want to meet her too. She's actually like a rock star to me too. I like a lot of these people. I got so many people I really have tremendous respect for, and so anyway, I even have a lot of respect for you viewers. You know, you guys aren't a bunch of dummies, and thankfully the people that watch my channel and a lot of these other channels are people that are, the wind is, may not be able to hear it, so I'll face this direction. You're not a bunch of dummies, and don't fall for things. And one of the things I'd like to do is, you know, there's a lot of people here that have been brainwashed in Belarus, not really seeing things for what they really are. You know, it's sort of like when you're sitting in a whole bunch of trees, you can't see the forest. You know, if you're sitting up on the hill and you're looking down, hey, look, there's a forest down there. But if you're sitting in the middle of all these trees, you say, these trees are blocking my view, I can't see the forest. So that's how I describe a lot of the people here in Belarus, unfortunately. And I'm not blaming them, of course, but that's how it is. I was in the United States, and a lot of things I didn't see clearly. You know, we're indoctrinated from a very early age. I pledge allegiance to the flag, and thinking that somehow our country is like guided by God or something like that. And then you find out with all the terrible things that these people do, and know that we're all human beings, and a lot of these people are, in my opinion, making very bad mistakes. But anyway, that's about all I want to say right now. I'm not going to philosophize too much. And thanks for joining me. And again, I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.